Step AG, Dr. Sanjeev Tyagi, Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Research and Training, Gujarat State, Ms. Nisha Raj, IFS Officer, Deputy Conservator of Forest, and Mr. Mrityunjay Kumar, Additional Director and Head, Ficci Quality Quorum. I welcome you taking time out to be with us today and tomorrow. We hope that this platform will prove to be an inspiring and truly transformative experience for you all. Can I request all the guests to be please present on the dais? Thank you all the honorable guests. Well, in Ficci, we have a culture of welcoming our guests in an environmental friendly way and continuing the same tradition. Similarly, Gujarat Forest Research Foundation is a department that takes care of our ecology and environment. As a token of respect and appreciation, we would like to request Dr. Ashok Menon to present bonsai to Dr. D.K. Sharma. I request Dr. Menon to also present shawl to Dr. Sharma. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Tyagi to present bonsai to Dr. Menon, requesting Dr. Tyagi to present shawl to Dr. Menon. Proceeding, I would request Dr. Menon to present bonsai and shawl to Dr. Tyagi. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to request Ms. Nisha Raj, IFS Officer, Deputy Conservator of Forest, to present bonsai to Dr. Martin Gipmans and shawl. Well, moving onwards, I would like to request Dr. Tyagi to present shawl to Mrityunjay Kumar. We are now all set to start the formal proceedings. Starting off with the address, may I request Dr. Sanjeev Tyagi, Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Research and Training, Gujarat State, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Dr. D.K. Sharma, Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Head of the Forest Force, Gujarat State. Mr. Menon, Mr. Martin, I think I got it right, Martin, Mr. Mrityunjay Kumar, and my colleague Ms. Nisha. This is the 8th edition of Indian Conference on Life Cycle Management. It's a concept that is being pursued by the Forest Department off and on, but with the express sanction of our head of the Forest Force, we are now delving into it in a big way. Life cycle assessment is a tool which helps in not only analyzing the things, especially the products and the services now across the world, but also helps in understanding as to what we are doing. The concept of LCA actually and the circular economy which follows comes from age-old forestry. When we talked about sustainable yield in the forestry way back in 1864, when Dr. Dietrich Brandis started the systematic working in forests. In fact, forest has been always an example for others. And when we talk about circular economy, one place from where we should take the cue is forest and ecology and the ecosystems. When the world is now troubled by water pollution, air pollution, when our cities are literally on the verge of dying due to heavy air pollution, especially in the bigger cities, when we are not able to counter the problems of water pollution, it's where we have to think about going back to the age-old concept of recycling, and what better example than the forest itself. In 1969, when the concept of EIA was first given by the then US President Richard Nixon, it was thought to be a solution for all the problems that we have in the world, that we carry out the impact assessment of the entire environment and find our own solutions. Time has told us that it was not complete in all respects. This is a time to migrate to a better concept that we call as LCA, or life cycle assessment, and which ultimately leads to circular economy. There are many examples we have. People often talk about mangroves, but very few people realize that it's the nature's own RO plant, reverse osmosis plant. We don't realize that nature has a system in which it has the capability of generating a good water, whereas we have RO plant in our houses. It's the nature's own RO plant. Time has to come to relook at those concepts. Another example that we can learn is from the vultures, the scavengers. When we are troubled by so much waste around in Indian cities, we have to have a relook at our scavengers, like vultures. It's a known fact that the pH of the stomach of vulture is close to 0, which means that if we put anything in its stomach, it is likely to vaporize. It can eat anything. It can remove all the dirt from the world. And the time has come for re-looking at it and more conservation on all these aspects. I can go on and on, But my idea today is to welcome the guests who have come here. I welcome my head of the Forest Board, Dr. D.K. Sharma, who has been kind enough to come here and be the chief guest of this occasion. In fact, we have been receiving a lot of encouragement from him ever since he has become our head. And I welcome you, sir. I also welcome Mr. Menon, who has come all the way from Delhi. You are welcome here, sir, and hope you will enjoy the 2 days conference. So, Martin, and we hope to hear from him when he comes here. I welcome you, sir, again here. Mr. Mrityunjay Kumar, who has been coordinating with me and who is the strength of Ficci, I welcome him. I also welcome the delegates to this conference, and during these 2 days conference, we would hope that you would enjoy not only the session but we stay with us, and whatever we discuss during these 2 conferences will be quite useful in taking the LCA concept forward, especially in the forestry sector. We need to go a long way ahead. I welcome all the media personnel who are present here and hope they will enjoy the session, inaugural session, and all the participants once again. I welcome one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. Now, it would be my honor to welcome Dr. Menon to deliver the special address. I would like to request the honorable guest to proceed for the lamp lighting.
Photographer. Ignesh, ધ્યાન રાખજો ભાઈ તો માથું આવે જો આવી જાઓ આવી બેઠા બે તમે ઝૂમ છે કાકા કાકા ઝૂમિંગ છે આપણી જો નીચે થઈ ગયું થોડા નીચે થઈ ગયું કે ઉપર નતું કશો વાંધો નહીં જવું છે કે ખસી જાઓ ભાઈ મૂકીને ખસી જાઓ મૂકીને ખસી જાઓ ખસી જાઓ જવું છે
Good afternoon, Mr. D.K. Sharma, Mr. Tyagi, distinguished guests on the dais, and the august audience. It's a pleasure, and I thank Ficci and the Forest Institution for inviting SABIC to this occasion. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to kind of be here and share the podium with such august audience and dignitaries. In my special talk, I will be covering what's actually happening today across the globe and how LCA is going to play a critical role out here. So we are all entered into a very interesting and challenging era. On one hand, we are seeing an accelerated development all across the globe, and this has been happening for last couple of decades. We expect by 2020 around 50 billion smart devices to be connecting, analyzing, sharing and streaming data across. Global artificial intelligence market is going to be around $90 billion. We are ushered into an era of social humanoids, such as Sophia, whom you have heard. She has already been given a citizenship by a country and a status by United Nations. Autonomous cars have become reality. Concepts or systems like blockchain technology, which has the ability to authenticate and validate data, is able to kind of streamline processes like never before. However, technology advancement and the advancement in affluence is accelerating our consumption patterns like never before, driving natural resource depletion even faster. As a matter of fact, the Earth Overshoot Day this year fell 29 July, much earlier. What this means is, this year humanity has consumed its natural resource annual budget by the end of July, which is kind of a big impact on our planet. All these are making significant negative impact on global warming. If you look at 217 statistics, the total global carbon dioxide equivalent emissions has gone up to 37 gigatons. Countries like India and China has increased their emissions by 300%, looking at 1990 mark or the data. United States, for example, has increased its emissions by near 0.4%, whereas countries like Russia and Europe have actually gone down in their emissions. Just 2 days back in Times of India newspaper, you must have seen an article which talks about there is a 32% increase in cyclones that have hit India in last 5 years, causing unprecedented damages. Just yesterday, there was a new article which spoke about Vatican City was hit by the highest tide in more than 20 years, flooding the entire city, causing enough damages. So climate change, global warming is here to stay, and it is going to continue to create unprecedented damages which we as a society are ready to. Now, developing countries like India need to develop to raise individuals from our poverty level. Between 2005 and 2015, India has actually lifted 271 million people out of poverty. We still have around 73 million people in this poverty line which needs to be raised. Having said this, country's progress today is not being just measured by poverty line. So there is this index called Human Development Index, and this Human Development Index is a statistic composite index of life expectancy, education, and per capita income. Countries like India or the developing countries, this index is around 0.06%. Now, there is an interesting research that was recently done which showed that for countries like developing countries like India, the HDI index and the emission growth is proportional. But when it comes to developed countries like the United States, which has HDI index of around 1, this relationship no longer holds true. So it becomes important for countries like India to decouple growth with consumption and in turn with emissions. India is doing the right thing to help meet these targets. For example, India has committed ambitious targets to the Paris Agreement through our INDCs. India has already incorporated 22% of renewable energy into its energy mix, probably the highest among many countries in the world. India also happens to be the first and probably the only country to publish a report on SDG indices at sub-national level, in which it has actually developed a methodology along with United Nations and measures the progress of each state on SDG. And this has also been acknowledged by United Nations as the only country which has done that. And what India has done here is categorized all the states into three main categories: front runners, performers and aspirants. And for those who are interested, actually Gujarat stands in the borderline of performance and aspirants. Gujarat has done a great job so far, but I think there's still room for improvement in terms of meeting the SDG requirement, and that also creates a whole lot of opportunity. In addition, implementing concepts such as circular economy will go a long way in helping India meet its sustainability goal without increasing our emissions. However, in order to achieve this, it is just not the responsibility of the government. It needs collaboration, a collaboration between government, private sectors, public sectors, policy makers, and also academicians out here. We all need to work together. And it's all about taking the right decision. And here is where the measurement becomes absolutely critical. Concepts like life cycle thinking, life cycle analysis, life cycle costing, social LCAs and organization LCAs have been successfully used by not just organizations, but by countries to make informed choices. Today morning, those who had the opportunity to attend the LCA training sessions, you got a fairly good idea that an electric car may not always be environmentally friendly. It could even be a diesel car, depending upon the situation you are in. You also heard about a mobile phone can consume as much electricity as your refrigerator. From the life cycle point of view or the life cycle concept, it becomes absolutely important for us to address attributes and understand it properly before taking the right decision. For example, India has set targets, and these targets will be drilled down not just to large-scale industry, but as well as medium and small-scale industries. And for them, life cycle assessment, if they start implementing it, or even life cycle thinking, if they are able to kind of bring it in, they will be able to make the right decision and ensure that India is moving in the right direction. It's just not for their company, but also for the entire nation. And that's the power of LCA. And going beyond, and have been now work that's going on, it's just not LCA, there are concepts like material circularity indicators, which actually measure circular economy attributes, are getting integrated into concepts of life cycle analysis. Now at SABIC, we have a Center of Excellence of Life Cycle Assessment at Bangalore. And this team over the last 10 years have churned out more than 200 plus LCA, new methods, and enabled a whole lot of sustainability solutions for SABIC. Many of the work coming out of this team has found its way into the international guiding documents. Dissipating knowledge around LCA and circular economy using gamification has become the hallmark of this team. And there are plenty of examples which SABIC has used life cycle assessment and life cycle thinking to enable proper decisions. For example, SABIC has actually built a in the Middle East, built a carbon dioxide purification plant. So what this plant does is actually takes carbon dioxide from ethylene glycol production units, purifies it, and diverts it for making urea and methanol. A very good example of how circular economy can be taken forward. SABIC also, along with strategic customers, have launched certified polymers, which actually are being manufactured by SABIC but goes into various consumer products. Certified circular polymers was produced from feedstocks derived from low quality mixed plastic waste that would otherwise have been either incinerated and gone into landfill. SABIC newly launched True Circle initiative encompasses not just the chemical recycling, but we have also looked at renewable feedstocks such as those oils which are generated from waste of paper and pulp industry, which goes into production of polymers. This team has extensively partnered with Ficci, with the leaders in Ficci, the past leader Sanjeevan Bajaj, who is present here, and now with Mrityunjay, and to build capacity within India, sponsors conference like ILCM, because we strongly believe the LCA concept, once we start propagating in India and companies start adopting it, we can truly be easily able to meet the Indian targets in much more effective and efficient form. And here collaboration is very important, so not just with government, but we are also collaborating with companies like ThinkStep in order to enhance our own knowledge out here. So as SABIC grows in India, we continue to work closely with government as well as SMEs to learn and share our own knowledge towards enabling the sustainability vision of our Honorable Prime Minister by embracing his message of Sabke Saath Sabka Vikas. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. The information you shared is surely going to help us a lot. So, moving onwards, now I'd like to invite Dr. Martin Gipmans to deliver this special address.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Tyagi. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you today and to talk about what STINGSTEP is doing in the area of lifecycle assessment. Before I show you some slides and talk about our work, we'd like to mention that if we in Germany talk about sustainability, we always refer to 18th century agroforestry research from Carlo von Carlowitz. He was a nobleman and he was managing a large estate, and he made foundational work on sustainability in relation to forestry. And that's so well known that every time when we talk about sustainability in Germany, we refer to this forestry research. And his basic message was that we should only take as much from the forest as is regrown. It's a very simple and basic message, but that's the holistic concept of sustainability actually. And we heard just from Dr. Menon that with the World Overshoot Day, we are taking too much resources from this planet and we are emitting a lot of emissions which is not sustainable anymore. And that's of course why companies, politicians, organizations are looking to means to assess sustainability of products and organizations, and that's where life cycle assessment comes into play. So this year is a special year for ThinkStep because of two reasons. First of all, we have recently been acquired by another company called Sphera. We still continue our businesses as ThinkStep, and we continue to offer all our products and services as we did in the last years. But it's also a special year because this year we have celebrated 30 years of being in the life cycle assessment business. So we were among the pioneers in starting life cycle assessment data, then starting a life cycle assessment software, the Gabi software. So this year we can commemorate that we are 30 years doing life cycle assessment. And during these years, during this journey of life cycle assessment for ThinkStep, we have been contributing in developing new standards and new tools to enable life cycle assessment to be used by a broad number of people. And you see some of the keystones of our development that we have been able to achieve over the last years here on this slide. I also would like to mention that since 11 years now, Dr. Rajesh has established ThinkStep India. A warm welcome also from his side to all of you. Many of you don't know Dr. Rajesh. He unfortunately cannot come this time, but that's good for me because now I can be with you. Yeah, since 11 years, ThinkStep India has been established and has been supporting organizations, companies in India in doing life cycle assessment and other sustainability work. But as you see here, we have been both working on the tool level, we have been working on LCA automation and other tools to make life cycle assessment both in more detail as well as on a broader scale possible, as well as we have been investing a lot in data development. And I think now we can say the Gavi database with its own data as well as with other databases integrated in Gavi is the largest available lifecycle assessment database worldwide. You see here the way LCA has developed over the years. After a slow start 30 years ago with some major automotive companies in Germany like Daimler and Volkswagen, but now since the last years LCA has really been taken off. We have more than 12,000 data sets now in our database. We have several thousand Gavi users and also several thousand projects now completed cumulatively over the years. And you see that there is a steep development in this curve, and that we also see from our demand. So what does ThinkStep do? So we not only develop the software and further develop the software and the database that comes along with it, we also provide consultancy services. And in these consultancy services, we work with a lot of sector expertise. So we have sector-dedicated teams, like I am heading the chemical and the life science sector within ThinkStep from a consultancy perspective. I have colleagues that have built up knowledge and know-how over years in working in other sectors and working for companies that are active in these sectors. So we have offices around the world and proud to be here on the Indian subcontinent as well, with a team of 20 distinguished professionals providing our services and support here locally as well. Here you see some of the clients' references that we may name. So you see that in my sector, which is the chemical sector, we are working with the most distinguished companies worldwide. And you see on the bottom line of the slide that we also do a lot of work for associations. So part of the work that we do is that we get commissioned by associations or also by governments, by the European Commission to provide high quality data for calculations. So that is an important part of our work as well. I may share this slide from Dr. Rajesh with you. Is a sample of the clients that we work with in India. So Dr. Rajesh and his team has been able to build up in the 11 years that he has been active here a very good network, and we are very proud to be serving all these major clients in India over the last years with LCA consultancy and software and other services as well. So I would like to close with this slide and referring to some trends that Dr. Menon actually also mentioned to some extent as well. So we see that there is an overlap in what we feel where LCA is needed and where things are going to develop. So there are 4 areas which are getting a high attention at this point. First of all, it's decarbonization in relation to the Paris Agreement, commitments by governments, but also increasingly commitments by large organizations and corporations to reduce carbon emissions or even go to a carbon zero level. So we see major companies like Volkswagen that are saying we are going to be a climate neutral company in the next years, and they will transition all their supply chains to be able to do so. On the other hand, we have the topic of circular economy, which is very much related again in the fact that we take too much resources. So the resources that we have taken and are still taken from nature, we should be able to keep them in loops and circulate them into our economies as long as possible and as efficient as possible. So that's really important. And we have been working also in ways to integrate this in the Gavi software. And for example, we can calculate LCA impacts together with the material circularity indicator in the same LCA models. Eco-design is important and has been around, but we feel eco-design has very much been used more at the end to show that when a product has been developed, I'm now going to show that it is better than what is on the market. But we see good initiatives by companies like Siemens that are providing software solutions to integrate eco-design very early in product design phases, so that ecology is really at the beginning of a product design and not there to justify a new product at the end. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is renewables, and there we come back to forestry as well. We see lots of activities of using bio-based materials, either from crops, but of course also from forestry, to make new chemicals, to make new materials, and that's very promising. Lots of activities around, and I think if we continue in that way, we will have a good future in also using LCA in a broader scale. And if we want to do it on a broader scale, and really the IT power is there, and with artificial intelligence we will also make step changes, but we need standardization both in data and tools, we need automation, and we need collaboration in industry, with academia, and with society of course as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. Taking a step ahead, now I would like to request Dr. D.K. Sharma, IFS Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Head of Forest, Gujarat State, to deliver keynote address.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Sanjeev Tyagi, my colleague and additional PCCF in the Forest Department and Director Forest, Gujarat Forestry Research Foundation. Dr. Ashok Menon from SETI, Dr. Martin, Dr. Mrityunjay, Additional Director and Head Ficci Quality Forum, senior officers from Forest Department, and there are some unknown faces, maybe from corporate sector, delegates, resource persons, staff of the Forest Department, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to be present in this conference on an entirely new theme. This theme is altogether new to me. Dr. Sanjeev Tyagi came to me that this is going to be the key word in the coming time, and we must look forward. So I asked him to go ahead, and at least we will have some knowledge on the new theme. But the way the things have been set up here, it looks like more of corporate type of. We have been doing forestry workshop here. Today the things have been settled. It looks like a good Ficci workshop. So it gives me great pleasure to be part of this. Friends, we have been in Forest Department managing forestry, forest, wildlife, natural resources under a lot of pressures. And for all of you, we here are foresters from various levels. They are policy makers. My colleague Mr. Nityanand Srivastav, he is looking after financial management of the whole Forest Department. Mr. Ram Kumar, additional PCF, is looking after social forestry part, which is a great. We have achieved a lot in social forestry in Gujarat. They are the policy makers. We have Mr. Sisodia from wildlife. He is looking after wildlife of all the PAs, protected areas, and great things. We have Mr. Kabang, who is looking after protection part. So we here in the front benches have policy makers, and slightly backward we have middle level officers, and at the back we have frontline staff who is working in the field with the stick in the hand and taking all the action against illegal activities and preserving our natural resources. So this is our audience, and I feel the subject should be taught in such a manner that they receive something from you and use it in the field. So I request you in that way. We have been talking about sustainability in various developmental projects, but this life cycle management, life cycle assessment is slightly new to me also. And in fact, I have myself done PhD in sustainable forest management. That was my first learning when I started this sustainability subject. But now this life cycle assessment, I am told that now there is a feeling that environment impact assessment should be replaced by life cycle assessment. I don't know how we'll go, but that is it's great to be here to learn new things. Friends, we have been managing our forest and wildlife and natural resources in a very sustainable manner since time Mr. Brandis took over scientific forestry in Gujarat, India. Mr. Brandis was he was a German forester, and if we go to the office of Director General of Forest in Delhi, Brandis' name is at the top. He was our first Inspector General of Forest. He was from Germany, and he introduced scientific forestry in our managing our forest. So that scientific management and sustainability started from there. The concept was that we should remove as much we can get in renewed after some time. So that was the basic concept. But somehow presently also we are managing our forest in that sustainable manner. But somehow maybe failure of other departments, failure of other sectors, pressures from other sectors, poverty, that is putting a lot of pressure on the natural resources, and there is depletion of natural resources. We have to move in a sustainable manner. Friends, during last few days, or say since last 1 month, we have been watching news in the TV that Delhi life has been crippled. New Delhi's life because of smog and air pollution. Now development is there. It is capital of India. There are roads. There are cars, big cars, but the government has put restrictions. One day cars with odd numbers will fly. On the second day cars with even numbers will fly. So there is a restriction. So this is taking the toll on the basically the which natural resources have been affected. So this is the alarming situation, and in Delhi the situation went such bad that Honorable Supreme Court of India, Prime Minister Office, Cabinet Secretary, everybody had to intervene to set the things right. So I think it is our duty to do the developmental activities in such a manner that we take care of environmental factors. I don't know, you might be thinking from industry point of view, we think from our forest point of view, so there has to be some convergence of the two subjects. I'm told that this workshop will focus on sustainable goals also. Friends, the United, for the knowledge of our younger staff from the Forest Department, the United Nations has also set in sustainable development goals. So there are about 17 goals, out of which large number of goals are related to environmental subjects. For example, sustainable cities, climate action, life below water, life on land, partnerships for the goals, clean water and sanitation. These are the sustainable goals set in by the UN in 2015, and they have set the target for achieving all these targets by 2030. There is hardly any time, but that is there, and it is felt that for achieving these sustainable goals, the partnership of governments, private sectors, civil society and citizens in general is must. We have to act together for the better planet for the future generations. Now, what is sustainability? It is the meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the availability of future generations. I mean, Mahatma Gandhi had once said that we have enough for our needs, but not for our greeds. So we have to use our resources in such a manner that we preserve them for our future generation. So I think that is the vision of Mahatma Gandhi at that time. And basically, if we see technically, the sustainability aspects has 3 P's. 3 P's mean 1 P is people, 1 P is planet, and 3rd P is profits. So there are 3 P's, planet, people and profit, which is related to 3 types of sustainabilities. Sustainability will come in any developmental project if we look after if that project is economically viable, that is profitability. If it is socially responsible, that is people, and if it is environment friendly. So if we look after these three factors, only then the sustainability aspect will come. In forestry sector, the concept of certification has come up of late. There are certain standards which have been developed by Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, ITTO, Pan Euro certification, etc. And basically, if you are manufacturing a product from the forestry output, say furniture or say paper, and you want to export to European countries or some other countries, they will not accept your product unless they get it verified that it is coming from the sustainably managed forest. So that certification is needed. So sustainability and certification, which is must for managing the forest and for running the industry also. So all these things are interlinked now. So we have to come up with this. And in India also, we have started with Bhopal India process for forest certification. But now Network for Certification and Conservation of Forest is looking after this. Now Mr. Martin told us about the concept of circular economy also, which will come up. And there are now the concept of life cycle management is the new concept which reflects on any products or any living entity which passes through various phases, like we are doing value addition to any product, and if you are doing value addition to any product, what are its consequences on environmental values? So that has to be looked into, and that has to be if you go for forest certification, there is a word called chain of custody. As the logs or wood keeps on moving from one product to one stage to the stage, a chain of custody is maintained, and each stage it is seen that the forests are well managed and the product is sustainably viable. So the subject is, sustainability subject is well enforced now all over the world, but this life cycle assessment is, I don't know how it will go for further, and actually it will be great learning for all of us. And I am sure that you will learn a new concept. We have very learned speakers and resource persons here present with us, and definitely for 2 days they will deliberate and tell us. And I tell my young forest officers that in case they feel anything in context of their domain, that is field of forestry, you should be free to ask questions and get clarity what is the issue and how they can use this new concept in the field of forest department. And I am happy that this workshop will go a long way in giving a new direction to altogether to our policy making, to our forest management, and basically how we will manage our forest. Our forest policy says that we should have 33% forest cover. It's very difficult to increase the forest cover, but I am happy to tell you that due to efforts of social forestry, now we have increased tree cover outside the forest areas, that is the private lands, farmlands, and that has been going at a pace of 13% increase in the tree cover. So this is giving dividends to the farmers also, and we are taking care of climate change also. That is the success of social forestry. I am happy to learn that under the leadership of Dr. Tyagi, Research and Training Wing is taking new initiatives by organizing such workshops on new themes. I wish you all a great success and a pleasant stay in this beautiful campus, and hopefully we'll move together to a new policy changes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharma sir, for delivering this special address. Now, moving onwards, I would request Mr. Mrithyunjay Kumar to deliver the closing remarks.
Dignitaries of the dais, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. The platform is set nicely by all the speakers sitting on the dais for a quality and engaging deliberations going forward. And I'm quite optimistic that we'll find the discussions for the next 1.5 days quite useful and informative. I understand that all the speakers of the coming sessions has to deal with the challenges of, because we have the audience coming from the forest department as well as LCM practitioners from the industry who have done a lot in this area. So I'm sure that they will be able to do justice with both the audience. It's time to appreciate the hard work and endless hours invested in putting together this program that we all are a part of. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to the scientific committee for their guidance and support in reviewing the abstracts, because as many of you may know that we invite abstracts, and based on that there's a committee who selects the abstracts and we provide them opportunity to participate and present them with the paper. So thank you all the members of the scientific committee, the chair of the committee, Dr. Ashok Menon, for going an extra mile and in helping us in building the concept, as well as always being available even at odd hours to support us. All their support has been magnificent. Further, I express my sincere gratitude to GFRF, especially Shri D.K. Sharma and Dr. Tyagi for being our co-host for the event and helping us carve this entire conference. The success would not have been possible without their support. The entire team of GFRF deserves a deep round of applause. Special thanks to Dr. Martai to take out time for his busy schedule to be with us. Dr. Sanjeevan Bajaj from FSLSI for her value-added suggestions time to time. It is under her leadership in Quality Forum we started this initiative. We are Ficci being the pioneer in introducing this concept. It was all done under her leadership, and we are glad to look. She's here, so we are going to listen to her also. We also like to thank Dr. Biniwale, National Environment Engineering Research Institute, for extending support and agreeing to be part of this conference. We extend our sincere appreciation to the sponsors, SABIC and Indian Oil, and our exhibitors, SEMA Pro and ThinkStep, for supporting Ficci in such unique initiative and showing their commitment in moving towards a more sustainable society. A special mention and thanks to Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change and Department of Science and Technology for endorsing this conference. Right? They have been endorsing this conference for the last 7-8 years, since initial years. Thank you in advance to our technical session chairs for both the days. Special thank you to our speakers and presenters, and thank you all the delegates for joining us. We look forward to staying in touch with you all. At last, appreciation to my FQF team, especially Deepa, for taking this, the role and with full responsibility and making an entire effort to make this possible, and Ashish for pitching in to support her. With that, once again, I welcome you all for the conference and look forward to an engaging interaction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. So, with this positive note, I would request all the honorable guests to proceed for the group photo in the amphitheatre, and that would be followed by the networking break and poster presentation of 30 minutes in the next hall of this conference hall.